Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So welcome to this special program for Friday. I'm going to introduce you with today's speaker. It's just my honor and privilege to introduce His Holiness Bhakti Prabhav Swami. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.
So I'm going to give a small bio for Maharaj. So Maharaj Bhakti Prabhav Swami was born in Brussels in Belgium. He met the devotees in Ghent in summer of 1992. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Graduated as a BA in accountancy and tax consultancy in 1982. He studied at the University of Wales and earned BA, MA, and a PhD in the study of religion and wrote articles for academic journals on religion and contributed to an academic compendium on Hinduism in Europe. In 1994, he met His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami, who accepted him as his disciple and gave him first initiation on 12th March 1998 and second initiation on 25th of August 1999. On the 31st of May 2015, he was awarded sannyas initiation by His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami. He has served as a secretary for the global GBC body and the secretary of the GBC Executive Committee from 2002 to 2008 and as secretary for the Euro RGB from 1999 to 2002. In 2004, he opened a new ISKCON center in Brussels. He also served as director and temple president for New Mayapur and temple president for Belfast. Since 2012, he is serving as Bhakti Sastri and Bhakti Vaibhav teacher, conducting on-site and online teachings. Since 2019, he also serves as Bhakti Vaibhav Bhaktivedanta teacher for the Mayapur Institute and the Vrindavan Institute for the Higher Education. Bhakti Prabhav Swami is a member of the Sastric Advisory Council and a member of the various committees of the Ministry for Sannyas. He also serves as an advisory board member and teacher for the ISKCON Bhagavad Mahavidyalaya in Europe and North America. Please welcome His Holiness Bhakti Prabhav Swami.
Just give me the mic.
Okay, sure.
Give a few this evening. Before we speak on spiritual subject matters, we pray to our spiritual minds and the spiritual master in the scriptures expression. We pray for the Master of Lord Chaitanya and his followers. We pray for the Master of Radha Krishna, Srimati Radharani. We pray for the Master of all the devotees. Om Ajnana Timanasya Snam 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 Sekshami Tamina Tasmai Chaitanya Mahma Visam Statam Yena Lutam Swayam Utpadanam Dadhisvam Valantikam Abandeham Shivo Shiyodapam Kamalam Shivam Vaishnavam Sam Shilukam Sagatam Saganvadnatam Kitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarutam Bhajam Saitam Sikrishna Chaitanyam Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sankarita Sirisha Kandam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandhu Chapati Gauri Krishna Kota Kanta Ganda Kanta Sute Tapta Kanta Krishna Kavangira Devin Anishte Vishwani Sutade Pranamahare Papankai Kautu Vishan Kripas Vishan Patman Pavangyo Vaishnavam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasanti Gaurav Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Bhutaliswara Hare Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namni. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharni. Nirvishesha Srinyavadi Paskachari Desatari. I'm very happy that you are all studying Bhagavad Gita and that you came at the beginning of the 5th chapter. Before beginning this chapter, it's good to reflect on what we learned so far. Therefore, I will try to present you a summary of the previous chapters, and I try to present it in very simple words. That in the 2nd chapter of the Gita, Krishna said to Arjuna that you are not a body. Your body changes, but you are within the body. You are eternal. That you have always existed. You are existing now. You will never stop to exist. That the soul cannot be killed by anything. Because Arjuna think I'm going to kill my grandfather. That grandfather Krishna did. Krishna said, you can't, nobody can slay the body, nobody can kill the body. Not possible. And nobody can kill the soul, I mean, it's not possible. We are the soul, not the body. And the soul does not take birth, has no beginning. And it will never stop to exist. Therefore, Arjuna, you have to do your duty. Because if you are not doing your duty, then you will, Arjuna, what is the duty of Arjuna? Arjuna is a military man. That, like a police officer has to arrest criminals. That in the same way, a military man has to act against aggressors. That and all the crews, they did all these aggressions. The crews tried to poison the Pandavas, tried to kill them, burn them. That did so many aggressive things just for politics. That so they deserve to be killed. But Arjuna said that it's very difficult. These are my family members. And he gives so many reasons why not to do his duty. But Krishna told him, Arjuna, you must do your duty because that is your duty as a military man. But then Krishna started to explain the deeper reasons why he should do his duty. And that here in the third chapter. In the third chapter, Krishna started to explain Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga, that's, you have Karma Yoga on different levels. But, the first level explained is 247. Karman evatakavastim afalesham nakachana. When Krishna said one must do one's duty. And that because one should not be attached to not doing one's duty. But one should one must do one's duty and should not be attached to the results of his work, to the results. That's already something strange for people in this world. Who will do one's duty when there are no results? Will you going to work? And there are no results? Will you do your job? But that's the beginning of spiritual practice. Really the beginning. Because if we work for the results, who is going to enjoy the results? Who enjoys the result of one's work? What do you do with your salary? You buy many things.
Body.
It's all for the body. It's all for the enjoyment of the body. So that's the first step to act as a spirit soul. You do things out of duty and not for the body just because you must do it. It's your nature, your job. But that's the lowest level. That is the beginning. Why do we? Krishna will explain in the fourth chapter, if you do activities in this world, then you get reactions. And that will be further explained in this fifth chapter. That Sanspasyabuha Tukayana Aripati Antanta Pantakantiana Krishna says. If you want to enjoy in this world, act for the body, work for the body. What is the result, Krishna says? You will suffer. You have to pay for it. That it's not gratis in this world. Whatever you want to enjoy in the spirit of enjoyment, you will suffer. That's the reaction. No. But on this lowest level, if you work without attachment to the result, you don't get karma. That's the beginning of karma yoga. But you have different levels. Now, in the third chapter, Arjuna is confused. He's confused. Krishna has spoken about Buddhi Yoga in the second chapter. You must renounce, give up your attachment, and he speaks about Stita Prajna, one who is which fixed in this detachment. And then at the end, at the beginning of the third chapter, at the end of the second chapter, Krishna said, now Arjuna, you should fight. Arjuna is confused. Should I renounce, give up things? Or should I fight? He finds these two are incompatible. That's not going together. Action and then renounce, which means becoming sannyas, you give everything up, you go to the forest, you beg. But Arjuna, thinking, how can I give it up? He's confused. And he asks this question, should I fight? Not should I renounce or should I fight? And he's asking the same question now in the beginning of the 5th chapter. It's not yet completely clear. But Krishna answers that in the beginning of the 3rd chapter, and he brings this karma yoga to a higher level. He said, Jaknasta karma no yatra lokoyam karma vandana. He said, you do your work for Vishnu, as a sacrifice for Vishnu, as an offering for Vishnu. And then you don't get karma. So that's an higher level of karma yoga. It's connected with Krishna. Then it becomes really spiritual. But that's the beginning. But Prabhupada, he takes these karma yoga's devotional service. He says that's the same. That's the same. And in a higher level, it is the same. Because that's the purpose of karma yoga, to come to that higher level. So you do it for Vishnu, for Krishna. And he says also in the 3rd chapter, in verse 13, you should also offer all your food to Krishna. Because that is also a jhaka we have to perform. We offer all these vegetables, these fruits, because by preparing them, we are killing them. It's a sacrifice. We offer them to Krishna. And Krishna says, if you are not offering your food to Krishna, then you are a stena. What does stena mean?
Miser?
A thief. A thief. Because everything in this world comes from Krishna and belongs to Krishna, not to us. And that if everything belongs to Krishna, then it's normal. You're out of gratitude, you give it first to Krishna, and then we. That if you don't do that, Krishna says, you are a thief. That a stena thief. And Krishna then starts to explain about sacrifice. This sacrifice is in the Vedas, he says. Since time immemorial, the human beings, the demigods, they cooperate in a sacrifice for Vishnu. And when we satisfy Lord Vishnu through the demigods are whatever offered to the demigods, they offer to Krishna. So by that sacrifice, the demigods will give you everything you need, and you will live happily in this world by this jhaka. So it says to do. Krishna says to Arjuna, so your fighting is a sacrifice for Vishnu. So you should do your duty of the sacrifice. And he says that, many kings in the past have done the same. And he gives one example. King Janak. King Janak has got perfection just by doing his duty. King Janak. Of course, Krishna speaks about his father-in-law and his brother in their previous incarnation. King Janak was the king of Mithila. And he was the father of Sita. So he met Ram and Sita married, but after Ram wrote the Bible, you know this, Ramayana. But anyway, Krishna mentioned me in Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, Krishna says to Arjuna, you should become a Shasta. You are a great personality. Great personality should give the example to others, and you should do your duty. And then Krishna starts to give more details for us in what consciousness we have to do our duty for Krishna. And in 3:30, this is an important verse of the Bhagavad 3:30. In the first line, the purple Srila Prabhupada said, this verse indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. It gives the details how to do this sacrifice. But this means he explains how we should act as a spirit soul and not the body. How should we act as a spirit soul? He says in this verse, you should surrender all your work to me, and so you should work for me with the understanding, that you are not a proprietor of everything. I'm the proprietor. And I do not desire any profit from my work. The profit is for Krishna. So that is what, this will be the conclusion of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that we will start studying. Bhaktaram chakra tapasam sarva lokam ashvanam suhridam sarva bhutanam tatvanam santarechati. Krishna says, I'm the enjoyer of all sacrifices. And because I'm the enjoyer, because I'm the proprietor. If you are the proprietor, you have the right to enjoy. And I'm the proprietor of all the lokas, sarva loka, all the planets. And one who knows this, he becomes peaceful. Because if you act for your own profit, you cannot be peaceful. It gives only trouble to the mind, senses, and the soul will not be satisfied. So acting as a spirit soul means acting without thinking oneself the proprietor, that is Krishna, without wanting any profit. And then Krishna explains further, but to do that, there are 2 obstacles. So because usually we have the tendency to act out of the body. we want to eat this, we want to conquer this. That we have so many desires for enjoyment, but everything we want to enjoy in this world belongs to Krishna. And therefore, it goes against that principle of acting for the pleasure of Krishna, without thinking oneself the proprietor and the enjoyer, because everyone wants to enjoy the body in so many ways. So there are obstacles to work in that consciousness. Krishna speaks here about working in Krishna consciousness. Our consciousness is most important in our activities of devotional service. Devotional service, service external, devotion internal. Without the internal, then the service is material. We have to be very careful to act in the correct consciousness. And Krishna says, what's the problem? Why can't we do that? Krishna says the problem is that there are two pantinal obstacles, raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. So if we act out of attachment and aversion, we act as the body. Attachment means I like and I desire what gives pleasure to the body. And I don't want what gives pain to the body. I don't want it. But that's for the body. That's bodily consciousness. Spiritual consciousness is different. In spiritual consciousness, we are averse what's against devotional service. We are averse what's against devotional service in spiritual consciousness. And we like what helps us in our devotional service. Therefore, if we start the path of devotional service, we must learn what is favorable for devotional service and what's unfavorable. Therefore, in the beginning, we must study nectar of instruction. Rupa Goswami says there are 6 things that are unfavorable for devotional service. Atyara payasya pratalpaniya markam janasanga salavyamsha sadhya bhakti vinashati. 6 things that creates this attachment and aversion, that we must give up atyahara, more eating than necessary, very dangerous, prayash, and therefore for things in this world which are difficult to obtain. You take a big mortgage and you have to work like an ass for it. And no time for spiritual life anymore. Atyara prayasya and prajalpa. Prajalpa is speaking about others, bad about others, but also about sense gratification. How to get more and more pleasure for enjoyment of the body. That's to be avoided. Pollutes the mind. One should not neglect the practice of devotion service. Follow the regulated principles, chants, mantras, not neglecting. Or one should not do them and not understanding why we are doing them. and jhana, sangha, salalya, and so on. One should keep away from the materialist who only speak about enjoyment of the body. And there are 6 things favorable for devotee or for devotional service. That utsaha nisya dayat tatat karma pavaktanat sangha tyaga satovitri satya bhakti vashidati. That we must be enthusiastic in hearing Bhagavad Gita, in serving the deity, in only taking prasad, that in hearing the Bhagavatam, in doing kirtan, in worshipping the deity, utsa nisaya, and what we should be patient. It doesn't happen overnight that we become, that's Daryat. Be patient. It doesn't happen overnight that we become purified in heart. And Nisaya, one should have confidence. By Krishna consciousness, I will get the perfection of mind. But Tatat Karma Pravartana, with great enthusiasm, chanting, hearing, performing 9 angas of devotional service, 9 ways of performing devotional service. Shravana, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Pada, Sevana, Marthavan, Dasyam, Sakma, Atman, Vedna. Anyway, dat is Raga en Dvesha. Raga and Dvesha are obstacles. This is, and this brings us, if we are attached to enjoying things for the body, or we are averse for pain, what gives pain, and our life is centered about that, we are in the body consciousness. We are not in Krishna consciousness. We are identifying with the body. Are we the body? No, we are the consciousness in this body. Spirit soul. It has its own spiritual form and so on. But then Arjuna says, yeah, it's true, Krishna, I'm averse to killing my family members, and I want to enjoy with them. So, what to do? I want to give it up, but there is a force which is greater than me. I cannot give it up. What is this force, Krishna, that overwhelms me? And what is the answer? But Krishna gives up. Kama Isha, Kola Isha, Raja Guna Samutma, Asana Manapet, Nampityanayam, Payanam. Krishna says, this force is lust, born of wrath, coming from the mother of passion. And this is the enemy number 1. We have heard how lust develops in the 2nd chapter. The Dayata Isaya Poshtam Sangas Esha Vajayati Sangam Sanyati Kamakama Koti Vijayati. It's a one Dayati meditation on the object of the senses. One becomes attracted, one wants to enjoy, one has expectations of enjoyment. But then, if we want to enjoy this one, well, does that always happen? No. We have also that experience. Doesn't work out. It's never what we want. Never satisfaction. And that's what Krishna says. This lust, dusprenanadinacha, gives you never satisfaction. Never satisfaction. You get frustrated. you become angry. Your memory becomes bewildered. You lose your intelligence. You fall down in the whirlpool of material life. So lust is the enemy. Lust. What's the effect of lust? Avitam jnanam etina jnana nityavana kamrupena kauntya duskurana nalena cha. The effect of lust is that avitam, it covers our spiritual consciousness, our pure consciousness. Of the soul becomes covered. It becomes covered by ignorance. It says, Avitam jnanam etina. Jnanam means knowledge. Etina means eternal knowledge. The knowledge that we are an eternal soul becomes covered over by this lust. Dus we een herinnering, ja, het is kamer op een kant, ja, dus we een herinnering. And this lust is never satisfied. That never satisfied. You never get satisfaction. You always want more and more and more. They did a survey by billionaires. And they asked, what do you want? They had all 1 billion. And they also gave the same answer. I want 2 billion. Never satisfied. Never satisfied. But then Arjuna is saying, Arjuna is a military man. And he has heard that Krishna said, it is the enemy. So Arjuna is asking, where is his enemy? Where is he situated? Where can I find him? How can I kill him? And Krishna has answered this. This lust, Arjuna, is in the mind, in the intelligence, in the body, in the senses. Yes, Arjuna. Yes, Arjuna. Arjuna said, yes, Krishna, but how can I kill him? Well, Krishna said, to kill him, you must first know that higher than the object of the senses, all things in this world are the senses. And higher than the senses is
Mind.
the manas, the mind. And higher than the mind is
Intelligence.
and higher than the intelligence?
Spiritual.
Spiritual. And then he says you must regulate the senses. How? With spiritual knowledge, you must feed the intelligence with transcendental knowledge. What is transcendental knowledge? Why does Krishna say that? Why must the intelligence be fed with transcendental knowledge? What is transcendental knowledge? Transcendental knowledge is a knowledge how to act as a spirit soul, not as the body. And acting as a spirit soul means acting in devotional service. That's transcendental knowledge. That knowledge starts with knowledge about Krishna and so on. So that is because Krishna says, with transcendental knowledge, when one hears transcendental knowledge, the buddhi becomes purified, gets transcendental knowledge, and the soul becomes attached. That's the only thing that we do as the soul, becoming attached, desire, attached. So when we hear transcendental knowledge, the soul becomes attached and pushes the intelligence, putting that in practice. And then, based on this knowledge, the intelligence will control the mind by engaging the mind and senses in the service of Krishna. And that is the process of devotional service, using one's intelligence and one's mind in the service of Krishna. That's liberated position. The conditioned soul is different. The senses tell the mind, gives the perception, the mind thinks, yes, we want to enjoy these objects. And then the mind misuses the intelligence to make plans for that enjoyment. And the soul is a zombie. It's not exist. It's just suffering, that's all. Because if you are in that conditioned state, what's the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee? That Krishna already experienced that in 217. And in 270 says, like rivers enter into the ocean is not disturbed by the rivers entering into it. The same way, in the devotee's mind, many desires may come, but the devotee is never disturbed by these desires. So where do desires in our mind come from? Where do they come from?
Senses.
Senses.
Previous
Yeah.
impression. Mind.
Mind
Comes from sense perception, like
sense perception. Why did we get this?
So, yeah. Desire comes from somebody, something has
Lust, right?
Lust.
Yes,
Previous impressions also.
previous impressions,
association.
association with people who have material desires, can develop like that. But usually, why did we get this body? Well,
Free will. Misusing the free will. We wanted to.
yeah, but
Attachment.
what is this body? What has produced these bodies?
Desire.
Desire. Actions in previous lives.
Mm.
This body is a reaction of all our actions in previous life. Therefore, we have different bodies, different karma. So yet desires, material desires in our previous life. So we just went to this first ayatevasya consumption, how it develops, and we conclude that material desires are never satisfied. But if material if a material desire is not satisfied, does it go away? No. So when we die, all these material desires which are unfulfilled, they are still stored in the subtle body in the form of samkaras, impressions. And we have forgotten them. But Krishna, in our previous life, was also with us. Did he forget it? No. So he knows, and we in this life, at a certain moment, not all are the same, but Krishna thinks, oh, this soul had this material desire in previous life, it did not work out, but it looks it takes it from our subconsciousness and brings it in our mind. And suddenly it pops up that and now there are two reactions. The reaction of the devotee who is advanced and a conditioned soul. The conditioned soul thinks that desire comes up and that he identifies with the mind. So he thinks that's my desire. He thinks that's a good idea. And he thinks, I'm going for it. This time it will work out. But it doesn't. But for the devotee, it is different. A devotee, Krishna plucks that, takes that material desire, brings that in the mind. And the devotee, because of his spiritual practice, he first observes the mind. He knows I'm not the mind. The mind is an instrument I'm using in Krishna's service. Should be. But should not listen to the mind, or not engage in Krishna's service. And the devotee sees that, and he thinks, what kind of desire is that? Oh yeah, that's a material desire. En Krishna says, iets van sociale, we doen gewoon even aan de kant gaan, na te sturen natuurlijk. The sages have said that one who tries to fulfill material desires will suffer. To the devotion, I don't want to suffer. Forget it. I'm not going to do it. And material desire disappears. There is no disturb by it. It comes and it disappears. But the non-devotees, they identify with the mind. In other words, non-devotees are crazy. They identify with the mind. Identifying with the mind is identifying with something you are not. And therefore, at the end of the third chapter, Krishna says, with transcendental knowledge, you must direct the senses and so on in Krishna's service. Now, then in the fourth chapter, what's the title of the fourth chapter?
Knowledge. Transcendental.
Transcendental knowledge. Why does Krishna speak there about transcendental knowledge? Because at the end of the third chapter, he has said you have to control the mind and senses with transcendental knowledge. You must get it. Do you see the connection between the third and the fourth chapter? Okay. In the fourth chapter, Krishna starts to explain transcendental knowledge. And he starts to speak about, first he says, there are conditions to understand transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge comes from the Guru Parampara. Krishna said, 2 million years ago, I spoke this knowledge to the sun god, Vivasvan Arjuna. You were also there, he says. But you forgot, and I not. Because you are changing body. Therefore you forget, and I don't change body. So the first thing that Krishna is teaching is the difference between Krishna and us. We are not Krishna. We are different. We are a part of Krishna. But before he starts explaining this transcendental knowledge, he says to Arjuna, you can understand this transcendental knowledge because you are non-envious. You are my friend. You are anaga. You are without sin. So there are conditions to understand this transcendental knowledge. Not everyone can understand it. when I did my PhD, then I met many scholars and they could give lectures on Bhagavad Gita, speak of recite verses, so many things. Great things of Bhagavad Gita. But they could not understand that they are not a body. It's all useless. Krishna gives you that knowledge to the heart. It's not it's not an external thing. One must be qualified. So yeah. So then Krishna tells Arjuna the reason why he has appeared in this world. So he established the principles of religion. He said, I'm appearing to kill the demons, to protect the devotees. Then he says, Shalma karmas medham yome veti tattva tyaktvam punarchanam naitimam etc. If you understand all that, Arjuna, if you understand my nature as being unborn, that and that I appear in a transcendental body, that I appear out of my free will, if you know my pastimes, my activities, then you don't take birth again, because when you perform devotional service for me, and then it keeps the process of devotional service. Vitarai Vayakrutam Manmayam Pashra Jnana Vitarai Vayakrutam Man Vitarai Vayakrutam Vitarai Vayakrutam Manmanavapu. Oh, great, very great scholars. Vitarai Vayakrutam Manmanavapu. My memory, but also our friend has already told us.
4.10.
No, it is 4:10.
4.10.
Vitalaga Vayakata Taxita, Barosho, Yamatatasa, Udamakla, Ankata. Krishna says, many in the past have become free from attachment, Vita, Raga, attachment, Vita, Raga, Vita, Bhaya, fear, Krodha, anger. Many have become free from attachment, fear, and anger by developing transcendental knowledge from me. And by developing transcendental knowledge, they became purified. And after becoming purified, they developed love for me. So that's the process. Pitta, Raga, Vayakata, Manmaya, Bhavama, Agata. What's the verse? Pitta, Raga, Manmaya, Bhavakana, Tapasa, Bhavam, Agata. So it means this is the process. We want to get rid of this attachment and aversion, that by transcendental knowledge of me, we become purified. Why is transcendental knowledge purifying our consciousness? Can someone tell me? Why is transcendental knowledge purifying us? If we receive transcendental knowledge.
It gives us the difference between body and soul, and the who is Krishna.
Yeah.
While we,
Mm-hmm.
What is our constitutional position, right? Like
Yeah.
how we should lead our life.
Very good. That's called Sambandha Jnana. Sambandha Jnana is knowledge of who we really are. And that knowledge, Sambandha Jnana, has three aspects to understand what we. It has three aspects. dat sambandha gaan. Toma knows these three aspects to know who we are.
But who we are, who is Krishna, what is our relationship with him?
Yeah. Who is Krishna? Who we are? What our relationship is. And then the next step, we engage in our relationship with Krishna. How is that called?
Devotional.
Sambandha, abhideyagam. Abhideyagam, engaging in devotional service. But what is the goal of devotional service?
Prem.
Krishna Prem.
Yeah. The goal is prayojan, understanding the goal. The goal is Krishna. That loving Krishna. So that is why transcendental knowledge brings us to the position of the soul. And with that consciousness of Sambandha Jnana, we must chant Hare Krishna. If you have heard about the 10 offenses against the holy name, that if you make these 10 offenses, it's a lack of respect to the holy name, a lack of respect to the holy name, the spiritual master, a lack of respect to the devotees, and so on. That lack of, what's the cause of this lack of respect? It's ignorance. That's the cause. And by that ignorance, we are not chanting as a spirit soul in the role of spirit soul, the position of the spirit soul. Therefore, if we make this offense, our heart does not become purified. Haridas Thakur says, who is Haridas Thakur? The Namacharya. Haridas Thakur said, one who chants in Namavas is a Kanishta Vikar, a beginner. But he says, one can only chant Namavas if one gives up the offenses. And one can only chant, he says that one would chant in Namavas, it chants with correct Sambandha Jnana. So that's all the same. So therefore, that explains the process. Vitraya Bayakara Manmaya Bhavokana Tapasa Putma Bhavan Agata. Vitraya Bayakara Manmaya Mamupashita Manmaya Mamupashita. So this is a very important verse that explains the process. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Rupa Goswami's verse from Shraddha to Prema, 9 stages. And then after that, Krishna says, Yeya Dhammam Pavachate Tamstate Vabhajana. Everyone who follows my path, then everyone follows my path, Krishna says. Everyone is on my path. But that does not mean that everyone gets the same results. There are different stadia on that path. Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Astanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. They are all on the path, but they have different destinations. Brahman, Paramatma, Yoga Spark, Paramatma, the Jnana Paramatma. and the devotee is Krishna. Different destinations, but they are all on the path, on the spiritual path. Because Brahman is also spiritual, Paramatma realization also, but it gives temporary results. Only the Bhagavan realization, love for Krishna, is the permanent result. Because to go back to the spiritual world, you must have love for Krishna or love for Narayana. That's the visa for spiritual. In 92, I started to chant 16 rounds, and 2 days later, I got a dream. I got a dream of Prabhupada, and there were many devotees sitting around his Vyasa-san, and I was one of them. And in the dream, Prabhupada he took a small booklet, raised it in his hand, looked at me and said, "This is your passport for the spiritual world." And in my dream, I got a passport, but then Prabhupada said, "Now you have to work on your visa." Yeah, then you have to become qualified, not just a passport. You chant, you get a passport, but then you have to get a visa. That still working on it. In the fourth chapter, Krishna speaks then about different kinds of sacrifice. First, he explains about karma, that three kinds of karma: akarma, karma, vikarma. That akarma is Krishna consciousness, karma is good karma, vikarma is bad karma, but the good karma is also bad karma for us because you have to take care of that anyway. Then further, Krishna speaks about different sacrifices for different kinds of people, for grihastas, for brahmacharis, for persons, different kinds of people. And he said, the purpose of all these sacrifices is to purify our consciousness. Because these sacrifices that culminates all in knowledge. But he says that a more direct path is dat Vinatana Pratna Parikashna Sevya Upadikshana Tekana Janastat Pradakshana. You better, the direct path is you get the knowledge from a spiritual master. You serve him humbly, and you serve him humbly and you inquire from him. And when you do that, Krishna says, Tatvatvana Punarman Evan Yasasipan Mayena Buddha As Ashisan Tarsasya then you start to see that everything is connected to Krishna, that everything belongs to Krishna and is in Krishna. And that it's true, everything in this world is Krishna. Krishna is in every atom, it's in our heart. And then you start to see with knowledge. Apsitas Pablo Savagyo Papa Kitma Savagana Pavini Van Krishnan Sankrishna. Then you come on the boat of transcendental knowledge. And then you will be able, with that boat, to cross the ocean of material suffering. Because then all your karma is burned like firewood, is burned to ashes. All your karma is going. So if we take initiation from the spiritual master, does the spiritual master take all our karma? And we say, oh, thank you, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, thank you for taking my karma. If I need you again, we'll let you know. But no, it doesn't work like that. That's not what the scriptures say. The scriptures say, if you take initiation and you follow the instruction of the spiritual master, initiation is the beginning of following this instructions of the spiritual master, you will become Krishna consciousness, Shabri. And you will come on in boat, and then all your karma is burned at that moment by the mercy of the spiritual master. Then the spiritual master takes. But not just by the fire sacrifice. That's not your connection. No, the connection with the spiritual master, it's all we sing that every day that in the Go Vandana. At Shakodana, little James, and I publish. Divya Gyan Vidipokasito. It gives Divya Gyan to the heart. And then all the karma goes. That Divya Gyan, how do we get this Divya Gyan in the heart? What must we do? Who gives the Divya Gyan?
Krishna is a Chaitya Guru is also there, and this extremely spiritual master also guides. So both of them.
Teisam satyuknam vacham pritipurkam dadami buddhyam yena mam. If we serve with Krishna with a little love, Krishna dadami buddhyam, he gives that to the heart. But what's the problem? The problem is the pritipurkam, a little love. We don't know what love is. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Chaitanya Charitamrita, spent a whole chapter explaining the difference between lust and love. In that chapter, he explains that one can only begin to understand what love is when the heart, when one enters into Suddha Sattva, when the heart is completely purified. So that's a problem. We don't have love. So the Dhamma Buddham, how then do we get realization? Well, the process is that when we serve the spiritual master, we please the spiritual master by following his instructions. Who is the spiritual master? Representative of Krishna. So Krishna is pleased. And Krishna accepted us a little love. And he purifies our heart. But we should always be aware it is Krishna who purifies our heart by the mercy of the spiritual master. Desam evankampam amakyam shantam anasacham atmavavastukam tipenavash. Krishna, from within the heart, he purifies our heart with the lamp of knowledge, because it's just, we are covered. We have heard lust covers us. And the covering is the covering of ignorance. And Krishna will be Anandipana. He removes the covering. That's all. And that same knowledge we get from the spiritual master. The spiritual master and Krishna are identical in that sense that the spiritual master repeats the words of Krishna. But add in addition is realization. It's important how to bring it in practice. Therefore, we need the spiritual master, which he has done it. In that way, Krishna ends with the chapter, with this chapter by saying, yes, there's nothing so sublime as spiritual knowledge, transcendental knowledge. So you should stand up, Arjuna, and fight with this transcendental knowledge. And still, beginning of the 5th chapter is bewildered and asks the same question as before. And Krishna will give more details about the process in the 5th chapter, which is a very important chapter. Because in the second verse, Krishna will answer Arjuna. He says, renunciation is good for liberation, but devotional service is better. Because devotional service is a real renunciation. That, like these so-called renunciants, impersonalists, they say, I renounced my wife, I renounced my house, I renounced my job, I renounced my family, I renounced my wealth, my. It's all mine. But nothing is theirs. Everything belongs to Krishna. It's like going in the house of the neighbor and I say to the neighbor, now I'm going to live here. It's my house. What will the neighbor do? It's you out, yeah. Or call the police or men come to get you in white jackets. Therefore, in this second verse, that in the purposeful Prabhupada writes, devotional service is better because it's a real renunciation. And he quotes this verse from Nectar Devotion, Anasaktasya Vishayam, that's related. 5.2. Yeah. Yeah. It's the second part of this verse. Prapanchikatya bhuja harisambhana vastuna mamuksavi parichaya parahyam falka kapsyate. So it says that to understand real renunciation, you must be detached from things with the knowledge that it belongs to Krishna, not to me. And because it belongs to Krishna, I must use it in his service. So we should be aware, all possessions that we have are not ours, never think mine, but Krishna has given me that under my care, with the purpose that I use it in Krishna, in his service. And that is real renunciation. And that is a problem with impersonalists. They try to renounce, but their renunciation is false because it doesn't belong to them. It's powerful by or renunciation. So therefore, devotion service is better. Because he says the result in the next verse, the result of this renunciation or acting for the pleasure of Krishna, it's the same. Because renunciation, it giving up your attachment to all things in this world, renunciation leads to liberation. And when we serve Krishna, we become attached to Krishna. And what's the effect of becoming attached to Krishna? Detached. What was the complaint of Jatila? Now who Jatila is?
Jatila.
Jatila.
And her sister is Kotila. Yeah, Jatila, she had that problem. She was thinking Radharani, this Radharani is really no interest in her husband. But that was not only the problem of Radharani. All the gopis are expansions of Radharani, all the same problem. All attached to Krishna. No interest, or no interest in their husband. And his mothers-in-law went to Mother Mangal. Mother Mangal is a Brahmin friend of Krishna. He knows all the sacrifices. So they went to him and they explained the problem of her daughters-in-law. They have really no interest in their husband. How can we rekindle their interest? What did Mother Mangal say? But because they were asking, don't you know any sacrifice or and a mantra that we can sing to help, that would help them? And Mother Mangal said, yeah, if you give me some ladus, I can give you some lemon. Okay. And Mother Mangal said, the only solution is to do a Surya Puja. But this Surya Puja should be done in the forest. In the forest. And you should all send out your daughters-in-law to the forest to collect all the herbs and the flowers and and take with them all the paraphernalia for the puja plate, everything. And they should do the puja called Surya Puja for the sun god in the forest at a certain time, and it should be done by a young expert Brahmin. Of course, Mother Mangal was knew that these gopis were kept inside the house by their mothers-in-law, and they wanted to see Krishna, so he blessed them that they could go out. But of course they went out, Radharani went out to collect all these things. But then one day, Kotila went with them. Anyway, that was a miscalculation. But they went to the forest and they prepared for the puja, and the time of the puja was there. Radharani was there, the gopis, Chatila. And suddenly, a young boy appeared, a beautiful young Brahmin boy, dressed to do the puja. And of course, that was Krishna in disguise. Krishna did a Surya Puja. and all the gopis were in bliss. But yes, you become attached to Krishna, then Baba Goswami says, don't go to see this beautiful black boy at Keshigat. Don't go to see him, because all your love for your society, for your family, it's all finished. Of course, it was a way of saying you should go to see him. Then you get rid of that problem. But that is the meaning of the third verse in introduction to the 5th chapter. It's important to understand the previous chapters more deeply. And now you are ready to understand, to study the 5th chapter, which is a very important chapter, always on that. You can recite many verses of it, but you go to it verse by verse. And any question?
So before I ask my question, pardon my ignorance, I don't mean to be insulting, but I have to, if Krishna's in everything, And Krishna is also in the modes of material nature. Can you explain that?
Yeah.
Krishna is everything, so Krishna is, that was the statement, Krishna is everywhere and in
Yeah.
everything.
So
So if Krishna is in the mode of material nature, how to explain that?
that's explained in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Satisloka, which was revealed to Brahma in the night, into the heart, Tina Brahma, Vidayat Adhikavahim, Viteritam na pratya na pratya Satman. This verse says that everything in this world is connected with Krishna. But when we don't see that connection, that is called Maya or illusion. Everything is connected with Krishna. But we are in Maya, and we see material nature, but without Krishna. We think it's not connected. And that is also what Prahlad Maharaj said. He said the problem with those who are after Maya Sukha, the happiness of the material world, that they have a separatist mentality. They separate everything from Krishna. They don't see Krishna in everything. So if we become Krishna conscious, we see the three modes of material nature as Krishna's spiritual energy, not the material energy.
But some of those modes, some of the people's actions based on these modes are not good.
No, surely,
So is that,
because they don't see Krishna in the modes, so they are influenced by the modes. If you see Krishna in the modes, you transcend the modes. So they become influenced by these modes. So that means we are a spirit soul, and we have the power to transcend the low material energy. But we have forgotten it. We have that power. That power is called devotional service. Krishna says, how to transcend the modes. Man se yoga pacharana bhakti yoga sevita sarvatam samachisitam brahmavya kalpa. Immediately you transcend the modes if you perform pure devotional service. Immediately. But we just have forgotten that, how to do that. Our ignorance is just it's covered by ignorance. But we have inherent, we have that power. Like Hanuman, he had forgotten the power, his powers when he wanted to eat the sun. And Indra didn't like it. He gave him a slap. And by that slap, he forgot his powers. We have also forgotten our powers. But we have the power to transcend the modes of nature. If we learn this process of Bhakti Yoga, we can immediately transcend that. And that depends on the purity of our action. Purity in desire. Purity is a force, Prabhupada says. Anya Vilasta Sunyam Jnanama.
Karma, the one who can Krishna.
Yes. That's pure devotional service. One of the definitions. There are other definitions. Sabaikum Sakoda Muyato Bhakya Production. Ahait Kapapiyata Yatma Sivashya. Or another definition that Sarvopalita Nirmay Tatparat Parma Nirmala Vishkin Shivna Bhakti. All the same. It's repeated over and over. It is pure devotional service. But that purity depends on our desires. The pure desires to do things for Krishna. We may have many other desires, but that must dominate. If we dovetail all other desires in that desire, we can immediately transcend the modes of nature. Someone asked Prabhupada, How long does it take to become Krishna conscious? Prabhupada said, 1 moment. And we can do it. 1 moment we can think of Krishna. But the next moment Maya takes us away. We cannot maintain it. But if you become purified, you will be able to maintain. Does that help?
Was a wonderful enlightening session, Maharaj. My question is that you mentioned that the previous impressions are the ones which lead to the desires which are unfulfilled, which are stopped, and we get the material body, and that is how Krishna gives it. So, is it applicable in the same way for the spiritual practices which we take up in this life as a human being? Because not like we say, everyone is fortunate enough to pursue this path. So, how does that, how is that related to the previous impressions? If I talk about myself, maybe I would have done something which is the result of something which I'm getting it in this life, or
No, everything what you experience in this life is a result of your action in the previous life. Everything. But so we are not under control of our destiny. But we are all, what's under our control is how we react to it. That's under our control. That are we going to continue to fulfill these material desires? Or if we are frustrated, we don't get the result that we want, we become angry. Yeah. Or someone brings us our bad karma and says, do something nasty to us. Are we going to say, I'm going to retaliate? No. The devotee understands, good news, I paid my karma. Finished. But if you're going to retaliate, new karma. So it depends upon us how we deal with that.
so getting the journey of spiritual life begins because something is done in the past.
Now, spiritual life, why does spiritual life begin? Many times it's Akhyata Sukriti. You have teased the devotee, even unknowingly, and Krishna gives you an opening. That the devotee asks Srila Prabhupada, what is the Akhyata Sukriti that I did in previous lives to get now the possibility to take up Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada's answer was interesting. He said, I am your Akhyata Sukriti. And he's a pure devotee. He can give Krishna consciousness to everyone he desires. But, so that's the blessings of the Mahatmas, the great devotees. Something else? Yes.
Thank you so much for connecting the dots backward and taking us to the previous chapters and making the connection, because as we progress further in Bhagavad Gita, we tend to forget what we studied, and you beautifully connected everything and brought us back to the chapter number 5. So hopefully we'll continue next week with chapter 5. One of the most important thing that I learned today, Maharaj, is that unless and until the attachment and aversion are still there in you, that means that you are still identifying with the body. So it's one of the most difficult ways to give up these two things, like attachment and aversion. It's like It's holding us so much back, Maharaj, that is there, something that we can do to, or maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on that, Maharaj?
I gave a whole seminar on it, but I will give you a few points. That we must learn to be compassionate with ourselves. Compassion within issue, compassion of ourselves. Good, so therefore, we have to learn to forgive. Forgiving. That if we keep a grudge for someone else, or more dangerous for the devotee, we will take birth again. Therefore, it's important, that's one thing, forgive. Second thing is, look always forward. Your future is bright, as long as you're on the path of bhakti. Forget the past. Forget all this attachment and aversion. You go out of a room, you open the door, and you go out and you come never in this room again. Are you still concerned with what's going to happen in the room? So we are out of this body. Why take all this attachment and aversion with you? Let it here. Don't take that with you, it's so dangerous. That is attachment and aversion. Therefore, we should not let our mind dwell on these things. It control our mind. Engage your mind in devotional service. Don't listen to your mind. Your mind is telling all this attachment and aversion. But engage your mind in devotional service. Then there's no time for these things. And take the mind, the attachment and aversion in the mind, don't take it serious. Not serious. 50 years ago, I was living in it. Was 15 years old, living in a small village, suburb of Brussels, a Flemish community. Everyone was speaking Dutch. That and old Flemish culture, and that now we are and everyone was Catholic, Christian, everyone practically went to the church. Now we are 50 years later, when I go back there, everyone speaks French. Language, the culture disappeared. Nobody goes to church anymore. All the people and all the problems that I knew, gone. They are dead. And there were so many issues 50 years ago. It's all gone. That's even in this time. That 50 years ago was all these issues were so important. Now, all gone. It's fleeting. It's not important. Let it go. And be peaceful. Honor, dishonor, rich, poor, it doesn't matter. The soul has nothing to do. Whether you have $1 million or you have a few rupees, Prabhupada says, you will still only eat 3-4 chapatis. So, all the same. Anyway, we also try to do that. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
It was wonderful class. You are late, sorry, for us it's okay, but we won't be able to drop you at by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
But it was good, so we didn't stop you. It
Okay.
wasn't really